Woo-wee! Today we have a game that will not only take your brain on a jog, no, it's going to take it through a whole triathlon. Abduction is the next game by the company Cyan, who is known for their games such as Riven and most notably Myst. I never got a chance to play either of those titles, but after this experience, I will be getting those. Abduction has been out for a couple of years on PS4 and PC, but has finally arrived on the Xbox One. I was lucky enough to receive a code from the developers, but I'm about to tell you if it's worth it. My name is Tanner, and this is For Your Money, a different kind of review. Abduction has a very lore-heavy story. From what isn't lore, you know that you've been taken to an alien world, a world that's supposed to prosper, but ultimately failed and was doomed by a coming alien battle. Upon arriving in the small desert town, you meet a local named CW who's locked himself away. While still surprised to see a new arrival at such a bad time, CW finds it the perfect opportunity to ask for your help, which benefits both of you, seeing as you can both get back to Earth. As I said, most of the story here comes from the lore. You find journals and pages all around the map, and they are rather hefty reads, but luckily, the story behind the whole event will grasp your interest if you're into these types of games. The notes are thoroughly detailed, from dates all the way to formulas involving energy, and even details on the alien life forms such as how they speak and why they have trouble communicating. It's rather crazy how in-depth this team went, so an applause for them is well deserved, because this isn't just a simple way of telling a story. You're going to have to think on the information you're reading for quite a while, which to me is the best way to do a narrative. My last thing to mention is there are two endings in this game. They are determined by singular choice at the very end. After you beat the game, you can select resume and it will load you right before the very last step. Do the opposite of what you did the first time and now you can experience the other ending. Now you have the gist of the story, so let's talk about the brain-swelling gameplay. If you're coming off of something like The Witness and loved it, I would recommend Obduction. It is a puzzle-heavy game that allows for a fair amount of exploration, nothing overwhelming, but enough to entice players. If you're playing a game like this, you know exploring offers a different kind of reward than other games. Your prize is uncovering documents about the events, allowing us to uncover more of the story, and that's the magic to games like these. Luckily, Cyan gave us a run button, so it's not a drag to move around the map. It actually encourages you to explore a bit more. Now, as for the meat and potatoes of the gameplay, you're looking at some interesting puzzles, so to say, some of which I'm not sure how people can actually think of. From start, you'll have simple tasks like flipping railroad switches to filling up a generator with gas. Enjoy these simpler times, because the further you get into this game, the more frustrating the puzzles are. You're going to have to understand some math in order to do the puzzles in the latter part of the game. Now, don't ask me to explain it, because I cannot. I can do them, but I cannot teach it. Once you figure out how these puzzles work, you won't have to think about the inputs. It'll just become second nature. Beyond that, there's a lot of swapping, so to say. You're going to have to swap from world to world. The Arizona town you start in is called Hunroth, and that acts as home base. You will swap here to mess with obstructions, and then swap back to whichever world you are in to see that doing so altered the structure, and now you probably have a new path to go down. You will do this a lot with a maze puzzle towards the end, and all I can say is good luck. The puzzles in this game are very perplexing, seems to be the right word. Despite how difficult they were, it was rewarding. You're going to feel like a damn genius solving these, and honestly, by the end of my time playing, I felt like I was ready to decipher the Voynich manuscript. One thing that could turn people away from this game is there is tons of backtracking due to the fact that sometimes you have to mess with an object on one end of the map and travel to the other side to see if it did anything. Or maybe you forgot to do a step of the enigma and now you're back to square one. All in all, this game is extremely challenging. It is self-rewarding and just fun to be had. Yeah, you're going to get headaches, no doubt. You're going to rage, no doubt. But in the end game, it is all worth it. Before I talk about the design, I found something on accident in this game and I want to talk about it. Now, I don't talk about settings near as much as I should, but today we are. First, you can technically decide which gender your character is, but not in your traditional sense of character customization, or sometimes even just the voice acting. In the settings, you can determine if your shadow is male or female. That to me is a very intriguing way to determine your character. Now, I couldn't tell a difference between the male and female shadow, but the game says there's a difference. The other thing I found was on accident, and that was point and click gameplay. I was checking my achievements for the game, and when I closed my menu, my game went to point and click. Went to my settings, and sure enough, there was a damn option to be that playstyle. This is amazing. Sure, it's not for everyone, but the fact they added this feature in for those who like that style is astonishing to me, and any game like this should have that option. Next, we have the design of the game being world, graphics, and sound. The world of Obduction reminded me of a game called Outcast Second Contact, only if it were a first-person puzzle game instead of a shooter. Some things felt like they belonged, but you look out and realize the alien structures, or look up and see the neighboring planets to remind you that you are far from home. The interesting part is the lore of the game explains the setting to you. In the puzzle section I mentioned swapping. That is how these towns got to the world they're on, but they were swapped using a different method, which you'll learn about. The world of the game is built around reading the lore, detailing everything you need/want to know. Graphically, this game has some stunning moments. Every world you travel to looks very different, from temple structures with bones of large creatures laying around, to a paradise-like world with crystal clear water but yet still feels ominous. Take your time, pause on the puzzle you're doing, and just soak in the world and relax. That's what these worlds are meant for. One issue I found with this game was the frame rates were not consistent. You could feel the game stutter at times, and it lasted for quite a while, but one of two things will happen. It'll either fix itself, or you're knee deep in whatever you're doing and you just forget about it. As for the sound of the game, this sound mixing was great. At first my thoughts were, damn, this voice acting is terrible. But then you realize that the rawness was due to the audio being recordings, or there was just interference in the game's world. Voice acting, superb. As for the soundtrack, you got a good taste of many varieties that depended on the world or the situation you were in. For the most part, I felt like I was listening to Celebration of the Lizard, and that is probably one of the best compliments I can give a soundtrack. Here's some clips of the design. Hopefully you guys enjoyed as much as I did.
Now what? Okay, that's enough.
Hell, I swear, you are a natural.
Where did you get these anyway? Are the mofos just giving you stuff now?
He's right. Cecil, it was 1870 for you. Sam and Vera, you tell it like it was yesterday, but it's been 62 years since you saw that blast of light. That light. That's where all of our new stories began.
The first hour playing this, I didn't think $30 was a fair price tag. The frame rates got to me, and I thought this game was going to be a 4 to 5 hour drag of gameplay. And there I was 12 hours deep, not noticing the frames, mesmerized by everything in this game, gripped by the developer's ability to make intriguing puzzles, an unforgettable soundtrack, and a variety of worlds. My final say in Obduction is it is worth the $30 price tag. It's not perfect, but it's not trying to be. It's trying to give you a great narrative while challenging your wits to their limits. This was a phenomenal gaming experience, and I can't wait for their next project. That's all I got, folks. If you enjoyed this video, why not subscribe? If you hated it, then hit that thumbs down. Till next time, fellas.